with the prices of everything continuing to rise, I see it every day. We're all looking for ways to stretch a dollar, to make our stuff last longer, to make our money last longer. And today I want to share with you some things that we do in our household to help stretch our money further, to help stretch the items that we have to purchase further. And if you're looking for some really easy ways to start doing that, then this is the video for you. But before we get started, if you're new to our channel, I'm Julia, and I'm one half of the Canny Couple. We are a small homestead family in rural Virginia that work every single day to merge homesteading and frugality. And with current prices, I'm just continuing to see them go up and up and up in our area. And I'm going to give you a great example of this. Pasta is one of those things. My sale price for pasta 5 years ago was 49 cents a box. Then it went up to 69. A couple months ago, my sale price was 89 cents. Well, now the sale price for pasta has went up to 99 cents. So we went from 49 cents to 99 cents, which is insane. So we all are looking for ways to stretch a dollar, to make our money last longer, to make our products last longer. And that's what I want to talk about today. How do you make the items that you have to purchase every single day, every single week, every single month last just a little bit longer to get the most you can get out of them without them, being diluted or losing the strength that you need them to have. And a lot of these tricks are really going to work for you. They really work for us. And they just help make things last longer. I don't have to buy them as often. So you do end up saving money in the long run. This is short term. This is not like a short term big profit video. This is you'll see the savings as you go further and further down the road and you build these habits and you start doing these things. So the first one, and I've kind of put these in order of like the location, but the first one's going to be your bar soaps if you use bar soap. Bar soap, you can do a couple things. One of the really old school frugal hacks is to take it out of the paper and let it air dry out till it gets really hard. To just leave it out of the paper, because it dries it out and it makes it harder for the water. It takes more water to get the actual soap itself onto the wash rag. You're going to use less naturally just by that fact. So that's an old school frugal hack. But what I would tell you is whenever you get down to having like just the little slivers of soap, don't throw those away. Don't throw those away. Put them in a wet wash rag, or try to fuse them together with your new bar soap. Get that new bar soap a little bit wet, a little sudsy. Put your old slivers on there and they will eventually start to fuse together, so you don't actually waste those little bits of soap. Because that little bit of soap, you can keep pushing and pushing. And a lot of times you can get 2, maybe 3 more baths out of that, or 3 more washes. So definitely try to make sure you're getting as much as you can out of the product that you get. Toothpaste, this is another one. And I feel like people make getting all the toothpaste out a little complicated. So you see my toothpaste here and it looks like it's almost out. I'm going to tell you something. I've probably got when Aaron and I use the same toothpaste, we probably have at least another week of toothpaste here, if not more. And you don't need a special tool to get it out. You don't need anything like that. All you need is a toothbrush. So I'm going to show you what I do. And this is a clean toothbrush, so I'm not using the one I normally would use. You take the end of your toothbrush and you're going to push, and it's going to start pushing it up. And I will do this over and over again. Now that's going to get it all up here to the top. Now when you get to the point to where you feel like you can't get any more out, if it's got a cap, take your cap off. You will see there's still so much more toothpaste in here. Then if you want to, you can also cut it open and get it out that way. I don't cut these open. I can get just about every single drop out of this for us and for Isabel. Isabel's is a lot stiffer. Her toothpaste is the way her little container is made. And I can make just a teeny amount at the top last for weeks on end for her using just a pea-sized amount. So definitely make sure you're getting every single drop out of there. I know it's harder with big families. For me, I don't like cutting it open just because I don't feel like it's sanitary. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. Just in my brain, it doesn't feel sanitary to cut it open and dip your toothpaste in it. or dip your toothbrush into it, especially if you're sharing across multiple people. So just taking that cap off and really pushing it, you can definitely get a lot out of it. The next thing, add a little water to all your empty bottles. So if you have a bottle, add some water to it, shake it up, conditioner, shampoo, body wash, everything. You're gonna have so much more here. Even if your little pump can't get it to work, add water to it. The next thing I'm going to tell you to do is also use a cup and flip it upside down like this. Now, with soaps and things like that, if you're using a pump, they have a tendency to leak. So, put a wash rag in it. Put a wash rag in it. I've actually done this with shampoo and just used my hand to scoop out enough shampoo for like 2 hair washes. This way it worked out really well. But definitely add water, and the cup does work. I promise. I use this all the time because these bottles are not made to go upside down. They're not. Most of the time you got a big fat bottle and a little bitty head. So flip it upside down. You can put it in a cup. The cup's going to hold it. You can get some cheap cups at the Dollar Tree. You can get like 4 for $1.25, something like that. Even Walmart, probably get a couple for $1. Just get one that's round enough that you can just flip it upside down and hold it. Definitely your shampoo and conditioner. Conditioner, I have found you want to be a little bit more careful. You want to just do a little bit at a time. Same with shampoo, you're just going to do a little bit at a time, shake it up, use it, add a little bit more, shake it up, and use it. 2 hair washes. So I've heard some different things about this, and I've heard some other frugal people say you only need to do 1. I'm going to tell you, I only did 1 hair wash before, but since I've started using 2, I use so much less shampoo. I don't understand it. I don't know why. It's like by the time that second shampoo comes around, my hair just cleans so much easier compared to that first shampoo. So the first shampoo, I will use 1 to 2 pumps, depending on how these squirt out, but I use a very little amount. And then for the next shampoo, I use 1 pump, or half of what I would have used during the first one. And I use probably half or at least 1/3 less shampoo than I ever used before. It's crazy how much this helped me for my hair, and my hair does better every single time. I've noticed the difference in how my hair feels, how it looks after washes and things like that. So give it a shot, see if you can make it do. You just have to be conscious not to use too much. You want to make sure you're just using a little bit, because it only takes a small amount for that first wash and then a small amount after the second, because for some reason that second wash, it just really does a great job scrubbing my hair. And if I look down, I'm sorry, I have to look at my notes. For your kiddos conditioner, automatically add a little bit of water to this for Isabel. I do use conditioner for our hair, and I don't just condition the ends. We live in a place where humidity, we also have a wood burning stove, and if I'm not careful, my hair will go out like this with static electricity. So I tend to be a little heavier, and I tend to go from here. With Isabel, I do about the same. I go from almost her entire end just to help with tangles and things like that. So I add some water to kind of dilute it, and it makes it last a lot longer for her. If I needed to, I'd add water for mine and dilute it as well. Talking about kiddos, kids' baths. Don't run as much water. Don't. They do not need a full bathtub of water to play in. I'm going to tell you something. My toddler can make a water park out of a cup of water, and it's just as messy as anything else. Like, she doesn't even need a cup of water, like 1/4 of a cup of water, and we've got water everywhere. So they don't need as much water in that bathtub as you would think they need. They only need a couple of gallons. I think I just fill hers up to a few inches, and it works really well. So we don't have to fill that bathtub full, because you don't realize how much water you're actually putting in there. So if you pay for water, it's going to save you on how much water you're actually paying for. And 2, the cost to actually heat the water, because you want to make sure that bath is comfortable for them. So work through that as well. And I'm going to tell you, it does work. Navy showers, this does work. It's not wonderful, it's not great, but it does save money. You use less water, you use less electricity. Whenever we're having to be strategic about showers, to make sure that our water water heater, which is a heat pump like one. It does multiple things. It could be electric, it could be a heat pump, so it's an energy efficient one, to make sure that we don't use it on the electric, because it uses 2 to 3 times as much energy compared to the heat pump feature or the eco feature. I will take a Navy shower if I'm the first one to go. I will go in, get wet, suds up, and then rinse off, and I use way less water and way less energy. Isabel and I, between her bath and my shower, we use as much energy as Erin does. We actually calculated that out. We could see that in our actual water usage on the app. So that's just one of the things. And for the ladies out there, when you need to shave your legs, fill up the bathtub with a little bit of water. You need less than an inch. You can sit on the edge of the bathtub, shave your legs that way, and then turn on the shower, wash off. You can use a cup and a wash rag. You can really save money by just thinking outside the box and how you can do this with using less water, because you don't need a full bath to actually shave your legs and things like that. Pumps for all your products. All of them. Pumps will save you because it keeps you from just pouring. Because when you pour, especially some of these big, heavy bottles are designed to be big and heavy, and they're designed to just dump all this product out. So use a pump. Know how many pumps. You can write it on the side. I got that from Under the Median, which is really great, especially if you have kiddos. Like 1 to 2 is all you need to do. So use a pump. It really, really helps. And then for your sinks, foaming soap dispensers. This was game changing for us once we started doing this. And as you can see, this one's, I actually had to go to a new one. These cheaper ones that we get with this one at Ollie's for 99 cents. They last us about a year and a half, 2 years, which is cheaper than me buying a new one, which would, one that I could keep using off of Amazon or somewhere else, which would be like $20, and I would probably have to take it apart and keep it clean. So this is a much better option for me. But the soap in here is actually my homemade liquid soap. If you haven't seen that video, you can go check that out. But you put in just a little bit of soap and water, it works, and it stretches your soap out. It stretches out how much you're actually going to use. It will save you so much money. But it only takes a little bit of soap in here compared to the amount you would use in a regular soap pump. Now, I do keep one in the kitchen for when we go outside and we need to come in and wash our hands really quick, and we need a little bit more soap. But for most of our needs in the bathrooms, washing your hands and things like that, this works really, really well. The next thing is to start cutting back your ingredients and recipes. So I just did this with our pumpkin bread. I cut it back by 1/4 of a cup of sugar, and instead of using the amount that it said in the recipe, I cut it back. Now I'm going to cut it back again by another 1/4. I'm going to keep pushing that for some of these more expensive ingredients to see when it starts to notice a change in my family. And you can do that for a lot of recipes. Now, I know there's some you cannot. I know that. Don't yell at me. I know. But a lot of cooking, you can really, really push back against how much you put in recipes, like meat. If you're doing a hamburger type recipe, like with spaghetti sauce and things like that, you do not need the 2 pounds of meat that recipe calls for. You can go down to 1/2 pound. If you needed to. You just need the taste of the meat. Whatever you need to do to make that recipe work and to stretch your ingredients further, that's the key here. You can use other ingredients you can add in that you can get cheaper to fill in. But with baking and things like that, just try home breads, things like that. Those are really easy to kind of adjust for yourself. So just try it. Leave out a little bit more sugar. Maybe you can try to change out the flour to something else if you have it on hand. And just kind of try to play with those ratios. And then make a note on your recipe card, your recipe book, that this is what you're doing and it's working for you. Because like I said, they didn't even notice I took out some of the sugar. Didn't even notice, they were like, yeah, I had no idea. And Isabel's asking for more. She's wanting it this week. I have to be careful. I don't want her to flounder. So it's just one of those things to do. Just kind of push it back. Because for me, sugar is expensive. Flour is expensive. All of these ingredients are a bit more pricier. So I do, in meat, we definitely try to make sure we're not using too much of anything in an ingredient, and that we're adding other things that are just as good for us into those recipes to help, bulk them up and make us, that do good for our body. Start backing off the coffee grounds in your coffee pot. Okay, our coffee pot, and I meant to have that over here and I do not. Our coffee pot has a built-in spoon with it. And it says for us to make a pot of coffee, to use 3 to 5 of the big portion of the spoon. 3 to 5 of them. Well, when we first did it, we were like, okay, we'll go down the middle, we'll do 4. We were like, oh wow, well, is it the coffee pot? What's the difference? Because it was very, very strong, very strong. We like strong coffee, we like good coffee, but we were like, it uses a lot of coffee. So we actually backed it off to 2. And most of the time, we cannot tell a difference. We can't even taste the difference when we do a full pot of coffee. And it works for us. So you're going to have to do this based on if you're, really, really into coffee, do it the way you want to. But if you're somebody like Erin and I, we like good coffee. We really like her coffee. Just kind of back it off a little bit. Use a little bit less and get to the point to where you're like, I need a little bit more grounds, and then kind of go back up again. But play with those ratios, because the further you can stretch it, the better it is. Now, there's some coffees I have to use 3, I have to use 4, but I have another coffee I only use 1.5 or 1 because it is so strong naturally. It overpowers our palates if I use more than that. So I actually learned to back that off a bit. So that's just one of those things that we do with our coffee to stretch our coffee grounds, because coffee has gotten expensive. And before, we used to get really good prices for it at Ollie's. We bought a whole bunch. We were just talking about this the other day. We bulk bought all this coffee at Ollie's. And we were like, why can't we get that again? Because it's not that cheap. And it's just, they haven't had any lately. But then Ollie's is the discount store. You go in, you never know what you're going to find. I think we were the ones who bought all that coffee. Add water or other ingredients to almost every single bottle. Empty bottle, almost empty bottle. Or if you don't see anything but the things on the side. So this ketchup is full. But if this ketchup were empty, you could add water to it, shake it up, and get a little bit more out of that. But you don't have to. I'm going to tell you another trick for that here in just a second. I had a viewer and a watcher. She told me that she added vinegar to mayonnaise jars when she was making potato salad or salads or things like that. And that was brilliant. And I think you could do that with pickle juice. I think you could do that with a little bit of relish, because that relish would kind of cling to the mayo. And you could pull out so much more that way. Such a brilliant idea. So definitely try those things to make sure you're getting every little thing, because again, it's not getting cheaper. It's only going to get more expensive. It's only getting more expensive, at least in our area. I'm not seeing our grocery prices going down. Now, how do I not add water to my ketchup bottles? I flip them upside down. Even the ones with the long neck. Long neck, flip them upside down. You have a cup. Use a cup. Use the cup. They will sit in a cup. In your fridge, in the door, wherever you need to. They will sit. And it works just fine, because I know a lot of times we don't have ketchup like this. We normally have one with a neck. And you can just flip them upside down. Anything. Mustard. As soon as I start to feel like I have to shake it too much, it automatically goes upside down, just to start getting all of that stuff to the bottom. And unless you absolutely need all of it right then, we don't usually need that. Normally, by the time we get to the point where it's almost that it's in, or there's just a teeny tiny amount left, we just flip it up and wait till the next time we need it, and then we use it, and then we'll get the next one out of the cabinet, the pantry. It really does work for us. Otherwise, I would use the water in it. But just flipping it upside down, you get so much more out of here than you realize. You really, really do. It's almost deceptive how much more you can get out of here just by flipping it upside down and coming back to it later. Meal prep. So when you cook big meals, hey, you're like, I'm going to make these big meals. When you meal prep those meals out and are consciously trying to make one meal go 3 meals, 4 days worth of food, you're going to stretch your food because you're not going to eat as big of a portion or anything like that, especially if you're using something that will help you portion it out. Depending on what you're looking to do. You're naturally not going to eat as much because you're really trying to stretch it as far as you want it to go, as far as you can get it to go. Put it in the freezer, you can do whatever you need to, but meal prepping has been one of those things that has helped us eat less food and has stretched our food budget quite a bit. It's work. Yes, it's work. It's work, but man, you don't have to do the work later. It saves you so much time later. It saves you so much time later. Instead of pulling everything out of the refrigerator, emptying it out. I'm going to tell you, when I fill up the meal prepping and putting it in the bowls, when I'm not as exhausted as I am now and worn down, this is the thing that really saves me so much money during the week. Not money, so much time during the week when I need as much time as I could get. This right here, it really, really does. Use bowls of water to rinse and wash your dishes. Don't just run your water. Fill up your sinks if you need to wash a dish. Do a bowl. My sinks are massive, so they take a lot of water to fill. They're really, really deep, and they take so much water to fill. When we first started doing food processing and I started putting tomatoes into my sink, I got over a box of tomatoes into one side of my sink, and I had one side to be dirty tomatoes, one side clean and rinsed and washed and put them on the other side. It was just amazing the difference compared to the sinks we had before. So make sure, like for me, it does make more sense to do it out of a bowl because I'm not going to use as much water out of the bowl as I am going to be to fill that massive sink up, especially if you have a water bill. For us, it's more about how much hot water I'm using because it costs us to have the hot water heater running. That's where our costs come in, not for the water necessarily. But if you have both, you're going to save money both ways. Same thing for rinsing dishes. You have a bowl, you dip it in, rinse it, and you're fine. We did that a long time ago. Now I typically wipe off, put it in the dishwasher, unless it's a really big dish, then it has to be washed and dried beforehand. So that's one of the things that will help. Use your fridge to make your food last longer. Okay, hear me out. Don't yell at me in the comments because I'm going to tell you something. I looked for the trick to make bananas stay like at that perfect range longer. We did everything. We did bags. We did all. We bought the stuff. We tried the stuff, and that kind of worked. When we started using the refrigerator, that changed everything. I can get a banana to last 2 weeks in the refrigerator, a week and a half, compared to the day or two this will last out on my countertop. Especially if it starts to get warm. It might last a day. It really might last a day. So once it gets to the ripeness I need it, which this is about where my little one wants it, not too green that she can't eat it, but green and yellow, and Aaron as well. And then it automatically goes in the refrigerator and they have their spot. And they will last. The other thing I put in the refrigerator to help it last a lot longer, you can see this is my bread bag. This bread I made, what was it? It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 days ago. 10 days ago. It's not moldy. It's not bad. It still tastes like whenever I made it because I put it in the refrigerator. Now, this end I will probably actually put into my bread bag in the freezer, and because I have more bread made, because I typically make it ahead of time. I actually went ahead and made 8 loaves of bread, well actually 16 mini half loaves of bread, 8 loaves for the next couple of weeks. But this really does save our bread, and especially in the warm part of the year. When it starts to get hot, my bread will go bad so fast. 3 days, 5 days, at most, it'll start to mold. This keeps my bread from molding. Like I said, 10 days, it keeps it from molding. Any bread I get, unless we're like in a power outage situation, any bread I make, I automatically put in the refrigerator. It sounds like a replacement, but it really does work for us. It keeps it fresher longer. It makes it work. If I needed to, I would make this into toast for Aaron for breakfast, anything like that, toast for sandwiches, whatever we needed to do if he didn't want it a little cool, but he doesn't tend to mind that at all. So it does work for us, but use your fridge. Do your research. If there's things you leave out, see if putting in the fridge will make it last longer, like the bananas. Because trust me, this is like one of those frugal hacks like that really do work, because I felt like we were running through bananas, and then she got to the point she didn't want them. She didn't want them. I don't want them. They're too ripe. I don't want them, and Aaron didn't want to eat them. So I ended up with all these ripe bananas. We did not know what to do with. So it really does work. Now the next thing is going to be fuller freezers. Make sure your freezers are full. And it doesn't have to be full of food. It does not. Fill up water jugs. Make sure they're full. Make sure they're not running at full capacity in a half empty freezer. Make sure you have something in there for it to keep cool. I would also say this kind of works for my fridge as well. When my fridge is full, I don't hear it. When my fridge is half empty, it's working harder because there's a lot of extra air it has to keep cold. So it's just basic things, just empty jugs of water, put them in there, keep it kind of filled, and just kind of work through it that way. The next thing is going to be to test your appliances. Now, a lot of times this is really hard to do because you're like, how am I supposed to test my appliance? Again, this is where I was watching Under the Median and we started writing a few things down. Now, we don't take it as far as they do it right every single time, like we turn the microwave on. No. What we did was, it's the bigger appliances. We were wanting to see how much energy they were using, how much energy they were pulling. So like my washing machine sips energy. I mean, it barely uses any energy at all. My dishwasher running on the eco mode was using 3 kilowatts of energy, plus how much electricity it was pulling from the hot water heater. When we switched it to the 60-minute mode, it pulled half. Dishes came out just as clean. Did fine. Takes way less time to run it. We switched to the 60-minute. It does not make sense for us to run the eco mode because it uses more water, more energy. It made better sense for us to use the 60-minute mode because we were able to go look at our electricity bill or our electricity usage. We were able to look at our hot water usage in our water tank when it was being pulled. It did not make sense for us to keep doing the eco mode. The only time I will run it on the full mode is when I need to run it for cleaning. So that's just one of the things. Look at your appliances if you have access to that. And I know a lot of rural places you might not. You absolutely might not, because we didn't until about 2 years ago. And when we did, it completely changed everything because we were actually able to see what we were using and how it was affecting our electric bill. So once we got to see those numbers and got to see that usage, especially day by day, hour by hour, it really changed what we were doing, because we could say, Julia, you canned this today, and we could tell if the electric pressure canner was costing more than using the stove. Yeah, the stove, by far, canning on the stove was way more expensive compared to my electric pressure canner. I can can with it all week and not use as much as I'm going to be using if I use a stove. So definitely make sure you are testing those numbers, checking them. Write down when you turn it on, write down when it comes off, and you know which cycle you put it on. Like for me, I ran at 2:30, 60 minute. And Aaron was able to go and look. He said, okay, we looked on Thursday, 2 hours, 60 minutes. Oh yeah, we used half the amount of energy we did when we ran it on the eco mode. The next thing is going to be maintain your appliances. And this is actually going to give you more savings because if you maintain your appliances, and I guess I'm a little bit more focused on this because we have really hard water. I mean, we're talking really hard water. And it can really be rough on our appliances and things like that. We would rather spend a little bit of money now to get the things that are going to keep our appliances running smoothly and cleanly, and make sure we're running them through those cycles once a month, once every 2 months, than have to pay somebody to come and fix them and pay hundreds of dollars then. That's very important to us. So we always make sure we're looking at that and making sure we're running those maintenance cycles when they need to be ran, which again, depending on what you're running, could be every 30 days, every 20 cycles, whatever that number is going to be. But it definitely helps. For me, it's a fresh for hard water. Works. My dishwasher, 2 years old, over 2 years old, running great. But that maintenance has really helped keep our appliances running really, really well. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of forethought, looking into the future, writing that on the calendar, and making sure you keep a good supply of those, like for us for the tablets, to run them through. So maintenance does help keep it's much cheaper for me to, spend $10 for 6 months than to spend a couple $100 or more if I have to replace the appliance later. And are you using too much cleaning supplies or washing powders or anything? This is a big one because a lot of times they come with cups, and they'll come with really big cups, and they'll tell you, you need to use a full amount, or you need to use, however much they tell you to use. And do you really, I dropped that, but you saw my example. Do you really need to use that much of anything? In all honesty, how much do you really need? I will tell you, for me, I probably use a third or less compared to what they actually tell me to. I will back it off and see if it works. And if it works, I'll keep backing off until it stops working. I've not had any issues with our clothes. None at all. I've not had issues with our dishwasher, washing powders, none at all. It just, the world, I feel like, it's designed for you to use more and more and more. It's not good on your machines. It's not good on your stuff. So just use a little bit less and just start backing off. Again, just using a little bit less, because I think most of the time they say you need just a tablespoon. I use teaspoons for the most part. I don't really use a lot of tablespoons, but I will tell you, here's a big difference. My appliances are smaller. My washing machine is much smaller compared to what most people would think a traditional washing machine is. We had a small area to get it into, so we had to get a smaller washing machine. It works for my family. My dishwasher is smaller compared to other dishwashers out there. Mine is not like a full-size 24-inch dishwasher. It's an 18-inch dishwasher, so it's very little, but it works for us and what we need it to do. So by using less, because I don't have a big of a space it's going to have to clean, it doesn't seem to really matter for me. But even for you, if you have a massive washing machine, just try using a little bit less. You don't have to use the full cup if you use a cup, or even the full cap. Look at the caps and how much liquid they tell you to use versus the pods that you get. There's no way those pods match how much you're actually pouring into a cap, if that goes to tell you anything. Those pods are probably closer to a tablespoon and a half. I've never done the math, and it's been a really long time since I've seen them or used them personally. But if you do a comparison, it's going to be very different comparatively. So that's just one of the things to look at. Now, I would love to hear in the comments below, what do you do every single day to use less? These are things that we do. They work well for our family. And they really don't take that much time or extra energy for me to do. It's just part of our day-to-day routine because they become habits. But I'd love to hear what you do. Tell me what you do to help stretch your products, stretch your items that you buy, stretch your money. I would love to hear that. And I'm sure we're going to be doing some more videos on that, because I know for us, we keep seeing inflation go up, prices going up. In our area, we're not really seeing anything come down. So we will continue to share with you what we are doing to combat those costs and keep our budget on track without actually having to raise any categories. And while you're at that, we would really appreciate it if you would hit the like and subscribe button to our channel. and check out our link tree to see our other content. And as always, thank you for joining me on the Canny Couple, where we work hard, live simple, and enjoy life. Have a wonderful day.